my team, Karthik, who is present in the call. I also have Prashant Raghupati, who is also one of the founding members of the association. Plus, I also have Mahantesh on the call from the ICT team, who is present here to address various questions and doubts which we usually have during the periods of the taxation periods, where our intention is to help and then clarify the doubts, questions based on our experiences. So, without any further ado, there are few basic things which we would like to share it with you all. That this particular session is going to be recorded, and it will be made available at the in a day or two for your repeat use and then for your references to note it, and it will be publicly available in our social platforms. The subject as a tax in general is it's too vast, and it is very difficult to address all of them in a very short slot like what we have. So our effort is best to today is to address the questions which you had asked us in the Google Forms, plus also to give you with all the useful informations which you can reach, and then you can make use of them. So this is our second tax awareness session which we are doing. So our previous one was in 2021, and we are doing it almost after 4 years, where we found quite a lot of requests kept coming to us, and then we wanted to do it. And thanks to a wide variety of participants participating all across France to this particular event, to trying to understand and know your questions. So a few logistical other informations. With the administration access currently, not everyone will have the access to speak. So you may use the chat platform, and you also have the options for your Q&A sections towards the right hand corner with 8 dotted points, where you will have an options to ask any questions. So if you find the question has been already addressed, you may just go and click on the like, so that it adds, so that we can avoid repeat adding those questions. And also, if you see that any of the questions which have been not addressed at any point, you can always leave it in the chat. So we will try our best to address as many as possible. I'll go ahead. So let's go ahead into the webinar or the session. A very important section to address that, a very important disclaimer to note is that all 4 of us in neither Association Indian Community Toulouse or the volunteers of it are professional tax experts. It's purely an voluntary basis and experience sharing. And our efforts is to try to share what we learned from sharing the similar experiences, helping people in the past, and also supporting ourselves from taking the knowledge already existing from the government website, French government websites and experiences. And we are nowhere subject to any finance related organizations or finance related companies, etc. So in today's content, we have various things which are addressed, which are focused to address. That is about the tax declaration deadlines, tax residency in France, brackets, tax rates, first tax declaration, which is what we have quite a lot of requests, list of tax forms, corrections and declaration, online declaration, foreign accounts, very important questions which we received, tax deductions, and we have a special section for Q&A. So today you might find us rushing a bit through the slides. Our intention is not to walk you through a step-by-step process how to fill a form, but it is to address various questions. So we will try to give you the key informations what are mentioned in this, and then take you to next. To give you a very short intro about the Association Indian Community Toulouse, established in the year 2019, and an association existing with a non-profit motive. Our intention is to support, Indian diaspora across France and even also in India, to support them, in integrating and then make their life a bit, um, you know, feel them as a home. And then our idea is also to see that how well we can support our Indian community in France, and how to strengthen by making your lives as simple as possible. Um, it's a bit an association existing and well, known across in the France. The Association Indian Community Toulouse is one of the associations existing to address various public, points, like the um, you know code for dummies, which is to on the driving, tax, students awareness, to student integrations part, community and cultural development aspects. That's about the association. So I would like to welcome Prashant to take over on the tax part. Over to you, Prashant.
Okay. Thank you, Ravi. And hello, everyone. This is Prashant Raghupati. So as Ravi mentioned, like I've been part of the ICT Association, like as a founding member until 2020, and then I moved to Paris. But still, I'm like collaborating with them in many ways as possible. Because thing. So moving on to the tax declaration. So just a reminder that like the tax declaration in France started on 10th April, and the online process, and the main tax form for the offline process was just published yesterday morning. So like depending on your postal code, the first two digits of your postal code, say for example, if you're living in Paris, first two digits are 75. So in your case, you will fall in the 5th of June. And if you're living in Toulouse, that is 33, you will fall like your declaration deadline will be 28th May. All these dates for online declarations. But say for example, like you came to France in 2024, or like you already did a previous online declaration, but this time you got married last year, and so you're adding your spouse. In that case, you will do an offline declaration. For those people, the deadline is 20th May, no matter what, whether you're a resident in France or non-resident, like the deadline is 20th May. So like keep these deadlines in mind, and try to like don't wait until the last date, and try to complete it as early as possible, so that like if there are any errors, because there are multiple things. If you have just a salary income, it's okay, but if you have capital gains and other things, there might be some errors at the end. So like if you complete it, if it started earlier, then the errors can be like, if you have any doubts, you can ask people and get it sorted out, and then submit the declaration, and you'll have enough time. So keep these deadlines in mind. So Ravi, the next slide, please. And so yeah, so one of the common questions that we receive is that like, am I a tax resident in France? Because in India we have this 183 days rule. Like if you live in India for 183 days, like you are a resident Indian, and like if not, you are non-resident Indian. Of course, there are other criteria, but in France, like this number of days is kind of like not the main criteria. So there are four main criteria. Whether your primary residence in France, say for example, like you are working in France and like you have a house here, then like by default you are like tax resident. Say for example, like you came to France in 2024 on a long stay visa. So like visitor, like salary visa, passport talent, student. By default, like from the first day onwards, you're considered as a tax resident. You don't have to wait until like 160 days, 180 days, etc. Because those things, it's not so important in France. And say for example, you're traveling between multiple countries, but your job is based in France, and you spend most of the time and everything and you have investment in France. In all these cases, so the basic idea is that there are multiple criteria to decide your tax residency. It's not just about the number of days. So please keep this in mind. To give a simple answer, the moment you came to France with the intention to live in France, you're a tax resident by default. The other criteria exist, but like this is a very, very basic thumb rule to know whether you're tax resident in France or not. And like moving to the next slide, Ravi. Sorry guys, as Ravi already mentioned, we'll be trying to go to the slides as quick as possible, and the slides have been prepared based on the questions that we received in the Google form. And so we'll take maximum 15 minutes for the slides, and then the remaining 45 minutes we'll try to take as many questions as possible. So, and then moving on is the income tax brackets. And so we have five income tax brackets in France. So it's 0%, 11%, 30%, and 41 and 45. And the amounts mentioned on the left, they are not your actual income. It's your tax, how to say, the income that you receive on the net income that you receive on a pay slip. Say for example, you're a salaried employee, there'll be a net income mentioned on a pay slip. So you take that amount, and after that, there is a 10% standard deduction. It's applied by default. If not, you can choose a free RIAR, and there are other deductions as well. After applying all these things, then the amount that you get, that is applied in this limits, and then your tax bracket is calculated. So we'll see a couple of examples. One basic example where there is just a salaried employee, an unmarried guy or a girl, and the second example is a family with one or two kids. Moving on to next slide, Ravi. So this is an example of a person having a taxable income of 32,000 euros in 2024, and unmarried, without children, anything. So in this case, so after removing the 10%, to keep it simple, we'll remove the 10% standard deduction, and then the remaining amount is 32,000. So in this case, since it's just one person, we divide. There is something known as quotient familial. So for one person, it's just one. So we divide the 32,000 by 1. So it's still 32,000, and then we apply the tax brackets for the income earned in 2024. So until 11,049 euros. There is no tax because it falls under 0%, and from 11,498 to 29, the second tax bracket, the income which falls in this line is multiplied by 11%. So you get the thing, and the remaining thing in the 32,000 falls in the third line. So and you get 805. Adding all this, for an income of 32,000 in 2024, you get a, how to say, it's not actual tax. There are still a few more calculations, but this is a rough figure. And then you see that I marked 30% in bold. So in all the 5 lines, the last line that you fall under, that will be your tax bracket. So in India, people ask, right, they'll be discussing, oh, I fall in 30% tax bracket, I fall in 40% tax bracket. So this is the line. So if you're having a higher income, you'll have another 4th line or 5th line. So it will be 45%. So we got a rough figure of 2,700 euros. In that, again, we'll be multiplying the number of parts. As I already mentioned, for a single person, it's just one part. So we'll be multiplying this into 1. So that will be your gross tax. In this, then we'll have the tax reductions and credits applied to calculate your final tax. So just an example, a quick example for a single person with unmarried. Moving on to the next slide, for a married couple with children. So in this case, we have a married couple with 2 minor children. When I say minor, under 18 years old. So 17 years and counting. And so these people, so say in this case, we have taken, after the standard deduction, we have taken the income of 60,000. So there are two, husband and wife, so one part for each. So that is 2 parts, and then there is a half part for each child, the first 2 child. So there is 0.5 for the first child and 0.5 for the second child. So this becomes 3 parts. So the total taxable income is divided by 3 to get a value of 20,000, and this 20,000 is applied into the tax brackets. So as mentioned earlier, and in the first line, 0 to 11,500 euros, it falls in the 0%. So there is no income to be paid, and the remaining part of 20,000 falls in the second line of 11%. So they get the first calculation of 900 euros and then. So again, as I mentioned, the last line in your tax bracket, that is how your tax bracket is calculated. So this couple fall under 11% tax bracket. And then there is something known as decode, where it is given for people with lower income levels. So in this case, this 935 euros of tax, first step is multiplied by the quotient family as the 3 parts. So we get 2,800 euros. and then this is the gross tax. And in this, since they have a very low income for three people, so like there is a decode applied. So and in this case, the decode is like 1,470 euros, and there's a small calculation on that. And so after applying this deduction, the tax becomes like from 2,800, there is a reduction of 200 euros, so it's 2,600 euros. And this, like how to say, like this is not very standard. There is a big, if you go to the tax guide, there is that its guide is of 450 pages. In that they have listed like big, in the end there'll be a big columns with each and every line, so you have to take from that and then apply these values. So in this case, applying all the deduction, everything, a married couple with two children having an income of 60,000 euros in 2024 end up paying 2,600 euros. And I repeat, this is just a gross tax. If they employed any like babysitter or something, then there'll be tax credit applicable. Then the tax will even reduce. So these are just two quick examples. If you have any questions, you can ask in the Q&A session. And Ravi, moving on to the next slide, please. And so we'll just first thing we'll cover is the offline declaration. So say for example, you came to France like as a student in 2024, or like you already declared your online declaration last year, but then you got married. So in that case, your spouse doesn't have a number of is called the French tax ID. So the online declaration is not possible. So for these situations, you have to do the offline income tax declaration by offline. Either you can submit by post, can prepare an entire package and send it to your post office by registered post. And this is recommended because there will be a how to say, like a record created, because when you send the registered post, you'll receive confirmation that the tax office has collected your thing. But in case you drop it in the post box directly at the tax office, there's no record created. So I would prefer, like, you can do both, but I would prefer that you send it by registered post so that there is a record created. So in case, like because end of the day, like administration, anything can happen. They might lose your documents or anything can happen. You have, at least you have a record, so that like you can prove that you did your part and the mistake is on their side. And so like so if you're doing offline declaration, these are the following forms required. So the basic tax form 2042, which is where you like you declare all your basic details and your like overall income and everything. And then like there'll be other annexation forms. Say for example, you made capital gains, or you have a foreign bank account, or the brokerage accounts like Zerodha or like eToro and everything. You need to like attach form for those things. And then you have rental income and all these things. You need to attach the annexures, and all this income will then come into the 2042 form. And apart from this, you have to like, since it's your first tax declaration, tax office may not have your details. So you need to submit your photo ID, that is your passport, and your valid French resident permit. So like say for example, have a visa and like you're in the process of renewal. So like even if the visa is expired, like submit the expired visa plus your recipe on whatever you have as a proof. And then you're like by default your address proof, which is given in the last 3 months, so that the tax office gets your like last address. And then by default the French RIB, that is a relevant banker, so which is where like your IBAN will be present. So like either the tax department can use it, like if say for example, like you are paid more tax and like you want a refund, the tax department will use this bank details to give you a refund. So these are the basic documents required. And like moving on to the next slide, Ravi. So
Prashant, just one thing, I think can you repeat the question and answer section so that people can play starting?
Yeah. So it's like just to like we'll be covering the slides like as quickly as possible in the first 15 minutes, and then we'll allocate 40 or 45 minutes for the Q&A session. So in this, if you have any questions, please use the chat box and ask your questions. And like
there is a particular Q&A section in the Gmeet, in fact.
Yeah.
So in the Gmeet, if you press that 9 buttons, so you have a section called as Q&A. You can go there and you can place your questions over there. So if several of you have the same question in mind, please like that question, so that it will come on the top of the Q&A, so that at the end we can answer those questions first within the available time. Please make use of the Q&A sections to place your questions if you have any.
Yeah, if you have multiple questions, do not worry about them. Please put your questions in the Q&A sections. The chat sections will be lost because there could be many tiny and missing information. So it is better to put it in the Q&A to address them right.
Yeah. And to have a democratic way, like we'll be choosing in the Q&A session, we'll be choosing the questions with the highest number of votes. And then because there is also time limit, right? Like we can't do the session for many hours. So 45 minutes is the max. So it's like, if this question is already asked, please try to vote instead of repeating the question. If not, like your question might fall in the end, and like you might have to like ask later. So yeah, coming back to the presentation. Next slide, Ravi, please. So this is just a summary of all the tax forms that we have. So as I mentioned, like these forms, or like whether you submit offline or online, like these are the same forms. Like in offline, you have to like download each and every form, whichever is relevant in your case, and then fill everything. And in online, when you log in, you will straight away go into the 2042 form, and then like and in the introduction, they will ask like whether you have this kind of income or like this kind of foreign accounts and everything. If you select those boxes, then on the left in the you'll have annexures. So then you can fill all those annexures individually, and finally you submit your tax declaration. So whether you're online or offline, the forms will be the same. So yeah. So like as Avi already mentioned, like it is not practically possible to like give step-by-step explanation of the entire tax form and then the both offline and online. And since I already made a detailed step-by-step and like of the offline and online process, you can refer to that, and like it's already on the YouTube channel. Like you can see that. If you have any questions, you can ask. You can ask there. Like each and every step of the process, I've given a translation in English, and then like quick comment about what does it mean, and if there are any questions, I will try to answer that. So for both offline and online declarations, there are detailed step-by-step guides available. You can refer to them, and if you have any questions, you can come back to us later.
Yeah, and like mentioned, so this presentation slide will be available on our official website, and you will be able to have access to this step-by-step videos, etc. All of them available for your usage.
Yeah. So yeah, next slide. Yeah. So it's like, say for example, like you did you're doing a first declaration. Like I'll give multiple examples. So like say for example, this is the first year, like you're doing a tax declaration, and like but like you came to France 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you've never done it. Maybe no one told you, or like you didn't think it's important. In those cases, like France gives an option of N+2. So it's like you can file your current declaration as well as the previous 2 years. So since we are in 2025, so you can during this tax season, you can file the like 2025 declaration for 2024 income plus N-2. So in this case, in 2024 declaration for 2023 income and 2023 declaration for 2022 income. So like when you say, for example, you are doing an offline declaration, you need to, like, if you go to the tax website, like there'll be 3 tabs mentioned: Millisum 2025, like 2025, 2024, 2023. So it's like 3 tabs will be mentioned. You need to download the exact specific form for each year. Say for example, like you haven't declared for last 3 years and you've been in France for last 4 years. So in this case, you need to download the exact forms for each and every year, because there are multiple changes in each form. You need to download that, prepare 3 separate, like you do not pin them, just like put a paper clip for each year, and then club everything together in a single package and then post it. And unfortunately, if you're doing an online declaration, like the online system allows only for the current year. So if so this year you are able to do an online declaration, but like you haven't done it, or there are issues in the previous year's declaration, like current year you can do it online, but for the previous 2 years there is no other option. You have to send it by post. So for like if there are any errors in your 2024 income, say for example you forgot declaring your bank accounts or other things, you have to do it. Even if you're doing online for the previous 2 years, you have to do it by post. So please keep this in mind. And next slide, Ravi. And so yeah, so similar to the offline declaration, we also have a detailed step-by-step guide for online declaration. So for online declaration, like if you have previously done offline declaration, so by default the second year it's online, because you'll be already having your tax ID and everything, all the login details. So by default it's mandatory that you do it offline. So online. So the only people exceptions are like say for example, you don't have internet connection at home or something, like you can do it offline, but like, to be honest, it's really like difficult to justify something in today's technology world saying that you don't have internet access. So like try to do it online. And the other biggest advantage of doing online is that like if you do any errors, the declaration form is like very intuitive. So if you do any errors, in the end it will show you like you missed something, like so in this particular annexure or particular line, and like it will show you can use that. And as well, when you complete the tax declaration, in the end it will give a summary of whether you overpaid or underpaid the tax, and how, say for example you overpaid, how much the tax department reimburse you. Say for example you underpaid the tax, how much you owe for the tax department. So all these things you can get a summary in the end, and then like you can submit. Also another option is that like say for example you have capital gains or something. There are the two options: either you can choose the like tax like flat tax, or you can choose the like taxation according to income tax bracket. Even in those cases, like you can try both the options and see like which is your best possible option for in your case, and then like choose that. Once you decide that one option is better for you, and finally you can submit it. So all these advantages are there in online declaration. So please try to, if you already have the tax ID, do it online and avoid any issues. Like, next slide, Ravi. And so so one of the common questions that we receive is that, oh, I become an NRI but I don't have an NRE account, or like I have a basic resident tax account for French tax department. Whether you're a resident Indian, NRA or OCA, it doesn't matter for them, as long as you have any account, like a bank account, insurance account, crypto account, and then like how to say, like all these multi-currency accounts. As long as you have an IBAN which is not French, you must declare it. There is no other option. You have to declare it, and like there are some fines which I'll come in the next slides. So like any account which doesn't have a French IBAN, to basic thumb rule, IBAN will start in FR. If it starts with FR, you don't have to declare. If it doesn't start with FR, you must declare it. If not, there'll be fines applicable. And a few cases where like a Revolut, earlier it was like with a Lithuanian license. Now Revolut provides French IBAN. So the year that you had Lithuanian IBAN, you must declare that year, and on the following year you don't have to declare. Similar for Trade Republic, which started providing French IBAN since last, if I remember correctly, 5-6 months. So in those cases, and since the 2025 declaration is for 2024 income, you must declare the Trade Republic account. Because you had like a non-French IBAN, and from next year you don't have to declare it.
I think we have already addressed one of the question with more likes on the WISE. So
yeah, and for WISE, like say for example, like if go to your WISE account, you like if you have Euro account, like even the Euro account is Belgium actually. So you need to declare that. If you created any other accounts, currency accounts in WISE, please check if you have any separate IBANs, you declare. But if you just use WISE or Skrill or XE or any other application just to send the money, there is no IBAN created, so you don't have to declare anything. And regarding credit cards and debit cards, like you'll be already declaring the primary bank account. So anything inside the bank account, you don't have to declare separately. Same thing for bank fixed deposits. You'll be declaring the main bank account, so you don't have to declare the bank deposits inside the account, because it doesn't matter, because you already declared the primary account. Next slide, Ravi.
So quickly, Prashant, I think because we have a question on this, when you're referring to fixed deposit, it is in India.
Yeah, in India.
Yeah, okay.
In India.
Good. Thank you.
And so, people ask which accounts. For the 2025 declaration, like the accounts concerned are the ones which are opened or closed from 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024. If you open something this year, that is relevant only for the next year's declaration. And like if you closed any accounts, you need to declare it. And this includes any accounts which you have a power of attorney control. Because power of attorney means you have the control to use the account and get benefit from it. So even those accounts you must be declared. And like if the power of attorney person is already living in France, then even that person must declare it. So the accounts will be repeated. And in case of you have already declared the accounts last year in online declaration, you just simply go to the 3916 annexure and click report A. So when you click report there, whatever declared last year, it will be automatically carry forward to the current year as long as the information is relevant. In that, then you can see like if the account is still active, you can leave it as it is. If the account is you closed the account last year, then you need to like modify the details and enter the closing date and everything so that it won't be carried forward to the next year. So like next slide, Ravi. Yeah, and like where to declare. So like this, for all the foreign bank accounts, we have a single annexure 3916. Like its technical name is 3916 bis. So for offline declaration, you need to download the tax form and then fill it. Say for example, you have multiple accounts. You don't have to print all the pages. We just print the pages 2 to 4 for each account. So you keep the first page common. You don't have to repeat it. For the second, second page, third page, and fourth page, based on whether you have crypto account or your bank account or insurance account, repeat those particular pages. And one example for each account. So please keep that in mind. And in online declaration, like it is just that you like go to the annexure and you'll be adding each single line. But this is where there are multiple issues. People encounter multiple issues, so please be careful. The online declaration will be asking how many accounts you have. If you enter 10, the system will intuitively allow you to enter 10 bank accounts. So please keep that in mind. If not, like you will get an error in the end. So next slide, Ravi. Yeah, so it's like as I mentioned earlier, in case like you're done previous declarations but you haven't declared the bank accounts, like please make sure that you send the 3916 form for the previous year and then like submit by post. Like even if the tax office doesn't like register it, like you can say that you have sent the tax forms and like the office has missed it. So just to be on a safer side. And like for each and every undeclared bank account, there will be 1,500 euros penalty applicable. Plus, if you have made any money using those accounts, say for example you have made gain interest or all these things, then additional penalties will be applicable. So so per undeclared account is 1,500 euros, and additional penalties will be applicable based on the individual situation. I have seen people like it may not look serious, but I have seen people getting a fine of 20k, 40k, so please keep this in mind. It's very important. So yeah, moving on, another common question that we get is that like I'm earning so much in France and like but I don't know how to reduce the taxes, or like are there any options available, all these things. So like in France there are 3 basic options: tax reduction, reduction, and like tax credit. So the deduction fiscal, deduction d'impôt, credit d'impôt. So the first step is deduction fiscal, that is the tax deduction. So say for example, next slide, Karthik, Ravi. So moving on to tax deductions. So like as long as you're earning income in France, salary income or business income, there's a standard 10% deduction available. Even if you don't choose it, like it is applied by default. But say for example, you're using your car to go to office, or like you're working from home, and like you're spending for electricity, Wi-Fi, and all these things. And like say for example, you're in a job where like you need to spend for the professional expenses. In those things, again, like if you do online declaration, you can try both the options and see which gives you better advantage and choose that option. So it's known as free professional. So either you choose a standard 10% deduction or like bill the actuals, but you have to keep the bills carefully for at least 5 years, so that in case the tax department like has a doubt, they will come to you and like you'll receive a message in your online account asking for additional documentation. So like keep the bills safely. And other examples are there. Say for example, another common question is the 6GU. Like I'm sending money to my dependent parents in France, and like whether I can reduce it. So even that 6GU falls in this tax reduction. So basic idea of tax reduction is that they'll take your taxable income and like all the things which falls under this category is automatically removed from your taxable income. So it's not a tax reduction. It's just you're reducing your taxable income, and like this is very important because like after doing all the deductions, like the tax will be applied on the even the tax brackets and everything will be applied on the remaining income. So like please ensure that like you do it properly. And another common question in 6GU is that people like how to say, like, 6G is meant for like either parents living with you in France or like living abroad. In that case, like you need to, like, for if your parent is living in France, there is 4,100 euros like by standard deduction. You don't have to provide any proof. But with the majority case where they're sending money, for example, you live here and your parents are in India, you send money there. In that case, there is no minimum amount, there is no upper higher limit, but you need to like be careful with like how much you're declaring, because it is meant for very basic like rent, like accommodation, food, and medical expenses, very basic stuff. For the pleasure or traveling, all this stuff, those things you cannot deduct. I've seen people, they're like declaring 10k, 20k, 30k. It's very difficult to justify that such amounts because if you know the euro to INR conversion, and we know the cost of living in India compared to France, so it's very hard to justify. So like please keep that in mind, and like do the declaration responsibly. And moving on to the tax reductions. So yeah, so in this case, like after the tax reduction, like your taxable income is calculated, and that will be applied on your tax brackets, and then your tax is calculated. So this tax reductions and credits will be applied to this final tax and like a gross tax to calculate the net tax. So for reductions, we have multiple options. Like for example, like if you make a donation to ICT, like you'll get a benefit of some like 60 like sorry, I forgot, like it's like if you make a donation to ICT, like you get a benefit of 65%. And like if you, for other associations, like there is slightly like if it's like for example, the recently we had this Notre Dame fire incident. For that they created like specific thing and thing. So it's like say for example, you have kids, minor kids who are going to school in France, like higher education, like for the lycée or like and things. So you can claim for that. And like there are other things like I've seen people like investing in law penal, where like investing in a rental property for to get the tax reduction, like that. Like how to say, that is not a good thing, but like it's not financially a good thing, but people still do it. So all these things come into picture. And law Girardin means that there are French foreign territories, and like the French government gives some tax reduction if you invest in like in all the French foreign territories outside France. So all these options are there. You can use them, but like to get these things, you need to like invest your money, and then like get a reduction. So please keep that in mind. It's not just like you're getting reduction for everything you invest. There is a percentage for each and everything. So you need to and this is a very big topic. We need to go on case by case basis. So like if you can't find the official if you can't find someone to help you, please consult a financial advisor in France and get it sorted out. And based on this also, you can make your investment decisions. And thing. Moving on to the next slide is the final one, the tax credit. Yeah, so like for tax credit, like again, this the like tax credit, whatever you do, based on a certain percentage will be removed from your the tax that you owe to the tax office. So say for example, you have a babysitter at home, and like you say, or like you employ someone to clean your home, or like you employ someone to take your kids to the school and like drop them at your home, or like someone like to move your like grass and everything. Like you get a tax rate of 50%, and then like this, it's known as employee in salary or domicile. Like if you're employing someone at your home, all these things. And say for example, you have an electric car, you bought an electric car, and like you're going to install an like electric charging system in your home. Even for that, you can claim a tax credit. So like please again, like this is like there are multiple options in it, and like declare properly, and like so that like you will get the tax benefit. Next slide, Ravi. And so yeah, and another common question is that like I've invested in India, and like but I'm a tax resident in France, whether the income will be taxed in India or France. So I've taken a few common like things asked by people. So it's like we have something known as bilateral like agreement. So it's a double tax avoidance agreement, which is signed between France and many countries. So in like to take the example of someone moved from India to France, the DTA between India and France will apply. Like so for someone who's a tax resident in France, and they're earning a bank interest, say for example, you have an NRE account, NRO account, and or even a resident account, and like if you're earning an interest, that income like will be taxable in France. But if there is a TDS applied in India, you can get France gives a maximum 10% tax credit. So like if for example the NRFD, the TDS will comes under almost 33%. If you calculate the surcharge and everything, comes almost to 33%. But France gives only 10% tax credit, so you might end up paying like 20% tax to France, and like again another 23%. Like you might end up paying instead of flat 30%, you'll be paying 43%. So please keep this in mind. And for dividends, like they are again taxable in France, and the same thing of 10% tax credit is applicable. For capital gains from movable assets like stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds, again they're taxable in France. For immovable assets, like say for example, like you live in France, but you had a property in India, you sold it. So since the property is located in India, the tax will be applicable only in India. And then for income from EPF, PPF, and NPS accounts, unfortunately, though they are like tax free in India, they will be taxable in France. Please keep this in mind. And so like if you have recently moved to France, like please consult a CA or in India or a financial consultant here, and to decide about whether you want to keep these accounts. And like because in many of these cases, after a certain point of time, you won't be able to add money because you're not a resident Indian anymore. So like make a choice about whether it's really worth to hold these accounts, and then decide about it. And like I already mentioned, there are TDS applicable in India. So to avoid the TDS, obtain French tax resident certificate from France. You can contact the tax office and like get it, and then submit it to your, like say for example, you have a bank account and the bank is applying TDS. Submit this resident certificate to the bank, to your local bank, so that you can avoid the TDS. And like as I said, just a final point, Ravi. For example, in the case of capital gains from immovable assets, even though the income is not taxable in France, you still have to declare it, because it will be considered as exempt income, but it will be considered for calculating your overall eligibility for various social benefits. Say for example, your eligibility for creche, like in France, almost everything is based on your like revenue fiscal reference, so RFR. So it's like for calculating RFR, the tax department uses your overall global income, whatever earned in France, and all the income earned from outside France, whether it's taxable or not. That is the second thing. But they'll consider, or like they'll add everything and then calculate the RFR, which this RFR is very important, because it will be used for a lot of things. Like you calculate your, like I would say, to keep it simple, I would say most of the social benefits are based on a RFR. For example, during COVID, like government gave for low-income households, government gave a like tax credit. Check the energy, like to reduce your electricity bills. So even that was based on RFR. And like for example, if I don't remember exactly, but like Peugeot, Renault, they launched a low car version, which is again based on RFR. So please keep this in mind, and like you can optimize this, and like by working on a tax reduction, like tax reductions and reducing RFR and things. So please keep this in mind. If you're not sure, please consult a professional tax advisor in France, and like and do it properly. If not, like you might end up paying more tax unnecessarily, and like you may regret it later. So yeah, thanks, Ravi. And so yeah, so sorry, we try to go through the slides as quick as possible, so that you can give the maximum time for the Q&A session. And so yeah, moving on to the Q&A session.
Maybe to start with, Prashant, I think the one with the highest,
yeah,
you know,
can you show the questions on the screen so that everybody sees it?
I think this one we have already answered. Do we have to declare our Wise account?
So yeah, like if you have a non-French IBAN in a Wise account, you must declare it. If you just use it to send money for abroad, you don't have to declare it. do we have to declare an FD or a loan account in India that was closed at the end of 2024? Yeah, as I already mentioned, any account which was opened or closed in 2024 must be declared like during this tax declaration. But it's not the FD, but like the account which had the FD. So the next question is, I transfer money to support my parents in India, but I transfer that money to my personal bank account and then transfer it to my parents' account. In this case, how can I claim a tax benefit and what documents can I submit? Will Indian bank account statement suffice? Unfortunately, to claim 6GU, either like you pay the actual bills. Say for example, like your parents are living in a rental accommodation, you pay directly the rent from your bank account, or like you pay the medical expenses from your bank account. That is accepted. But if you're sending money, it must be sent directly from your bank account in France to the beneficiary accounts in India. If you do it, say for example, if you send it from a friend's bank account to an NRE account in India and then send it to your parents' account, so unfortunately, it won't be counted. So please send it directly to the beneficiary's account. So moving on to the next question. If you haven't declared an existing bank account last year and I'm declaring it this year, but it has existed for the past 5 years, will we find? So like there's something in French known as draw the error. So it's like instead of tax department coming doing the research and like finding the account, if you declare it, like most probably like it won't be fined, because you're wanted declaring it and you're correcting it. But if you haven't done it, and because there's a lot of information shared between the income tax department in India and France, because even the tax ID is shared, so it's like a lot of information is being like exchanged between the departments. So if they find that you have not declared an account, then like the fine will be applicable, and plus the penalty for whatever like capital gains or interest that you earn, like that more fines will be applicable. So it's better that you declare it by yourself, like for the last 2 years, and for this year, like please declare it in this declaration.
And like Prashant mentioned previously, it has to be declared by the correction, sending it in a physical form.
If you're doing an online declaration this year, for the corrections for last 2 years can only be done offline by paper. So it's like you do the online declaration for this year, and for the last 2 years, send the tax forms to a local post office. To a local tax office by post.
Yeah, and we see that there's still people sending the questions on the chat. Please put it in the question sections, please, Q&A sections.
So moving on to the next question. I already have a fiscal number and have been declaring taxes since 2 years. I need to declare capital gains tax this year for the first time. How do I go about it? And like, how to say, like, there are tax forms. You have 2047. That is the main tax form to declare all your foreign income. Any income that was made outside France, it goes via 2047 ANASHA. And then whether you are made profit or loss, it will again, like there are other forms, 2074 and other things. Unfortunately, this is supposed to be a basic awareness session, so we can't give exact lines and everything. Like that, you can please ask in a separate thing. But again, it's difficult to explain, because we need to calculate. Say for example, like invested in a company in US, you are using a French CTO account and you have made an investment in Tesla or Amazon, then we need to calculate the capital gains made for each year and then convert it to euros and all these things. So like it'll be better either if you are a DIY guy, like do it yourself person, like you can research it. If not, like it's better that you consult a financial advisor. Like if it's a French account, like most of the French accounts, they give something known as IFU. So like that document, they'll be exactly mentioning like each tax form annexure and in what line what you have to mention. But unfortunately, non-French brokerages, they don't give this document. You can ask them, but they might just give you a tax statement for the last year, but it won't be mentioning exactly where lines you have to declare. In that case, you have to do it manually. So if you're a DIY person, you can do it. Like all the information is already publicly online. If not, please consult a professional. So yeah, moving on to the next question. My friend has this question. He came to France last December 2024 and started working, but his family, wife plus 2 kids are still in India. So the question is, should he file tax returns as a single person or a family? 1 plus 3 person, or wife plus 2 kids? Unfortunately, let me give the generic answer first. So it's like people are in this case, the person who's living in France, like the husband, will be a tax resident in France, but the people are not living in France but attached to him will be considered as non-residents. Unfortunately, if you ask a question to your local tax office, they might most probably say that you declare as a single person, and the moment your dependents move to France, then you can do a joint declaration. So that is the answer most probably given, but the official answer is that you need to declare you as person living in France as a resident, and do a non-resident declaration for the person dependents living outside France. So please, for this query, please contact your tax office. If you've already done an online declaration, you can just log in and use the message section and ask your tax office. But most probably they will give this answer you have to declare a single, and the day when they move to France, then you can start doing a joint declaration. Moving on to the next question. For work from home, can we show house rent, electricity, Wi-Fi when working from work from home under free professional? Do we have a list of what we claim under this? For example, if I'm moving my house, so rent, how to say that I'm not in the list that I saw, rent is not there. Say for example, you have bought an office table, you have bought an office chair, you're using a Wi-Fi, electricity, all these consumables you can claim. But make sure that if your employer is not paying for any of this, if you are receiving some allowance, Telithravi allowance from your office, then you need to make sure that what they are actually paying, and the remaining you can declare. And if you're using a car, you can use that to declare. And say for example, some people they may not have the equipment at home, so they might use a co-working space. So those kind of expenses can be declared. And then say for example, you're using any special equipment, and you need to clean it, and all these maintenance charges also can be declared in the trade professional and things. So it's if you have any specific question, after the session we'll be uploading this video recording and in YouTube. You can ask the questions there also.
And also you can contact your HRs to get
you can ask your HR, and they will also let you know, because each company has their own policy as well. So moving on, this is a very common question, and this is very important as well. I haven't declared when I was a student, but I'm declaring since last 2 years. How does that affect? First, I'll explain why should a student declare their income. Say for example, one of the most common questions is that after completing few years in France, I would like to apply for French nationality. So they'll ask for your at least last 2 years tax returns. So if you don't have a tax returns, you won't be able to apply for French nationality, because by default you have proved that you're not following the local rules, and nationality by naturalization is not a right. It's a kind of how to say, a privilege. So you have to prove that you have followed all the rules. So if you don't declare your taxes, even that will be considered. As a student, you won't be say for example, you're an alternance or apprentissage until 21K and few euros, it's exempt income. And if you're if you're doing a part-time job until 5,000, I forgot the exact amount for this year, but 5,000 something, the income is not taxable. You don't even have to declare it. So only the remaining part you have to declare it. So please keep this in mind and declare it. And coming to this question, haven't declared for the previous years, will there be any effect? Again, coming back to what I had explained earlier, please declare before the tax department comes to you be proactive and do the corrections, and so that you can, even if there is a fine applied, you can not contest it, at least request it, and remove the fine. So many people have already had this advantage. So it's they say I'm not aware, I couldn't speak French and all these things. So so tax department was a little bit lenient and they allowed it. So it's better that you do the correction instead of tax department finding it out and then applying the penalty. In that case, you may not even be you can't even request for how to say, a reduction in the fine or removing the fine.
Just before we go to the next question, hello people. I know some of you, you are leaving the meeting because it's it's a busy evening. Before you leave, can you go to the poll section and please provide your feedback about the session here. So there are a set of 5 questions. It will be great if you can answer all of them. It will be an anonymous one, so it can be a good motivation for the speaker as well as all the volunteers who are working on these topics. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll really appreciate the efforts put in by the speakers. And while you're filling the form, I think we will still continue to take up the questions. Prashant, the question for you is that is there
an English form available for filing or just French? Unfortunately, like France is the official language and like French is the official language in France, so all the documents are available only in French. So like, but if you go to the tax tutorial video for both offline and online, I have tried for most of the common things. I have tried to add a translation, and like you can follow. You can say you can open one tab of the video, and the second tab you can open your like tax account and like do step by step. You can just follow the instructions step by step and complete your declaration. So like I've given like audio as well as that in the screen. Even the screen I have mentioned the English translations for most of the stuff, so you can refer to that. So my family is in India. I have transferred the euro to my account and claim the tax deduction. Like again, I mentioned like you can only claim it's known as pension alimente. So it's like you need to transfer the account directly to the beneficiary. If you transfer it to your own account, like it doesn't count, unfortunately. So the next question: for the first 6 months, I worked as an intern with no tax deducted. From July 2024, I started working on a CDI. Should I file income tax earned as an intern too? So as I mentioned, like for CDI, it's a full-time job. You have to declare it. But for an intern, like again, it depends whether this internship was mandatory to complete the degree. In that case, it's exempted. And like and again, like we have an exemption of 21,000 euros like for 2024. So all this internship, alternance, apprentissage, etc. Like the amount that you earn above this 21K limit, only that amount you have to declare. Say for example, you have earned 23K, but the exemption was 21K something. So you declare only the remaining 2,000K, 2K, and like you don't have to declare the exemption part. So please keep this in mind. And for CDA is a full-time job that you anyway have to declare, and like your HR would have already claimed and deducted TDS in your income in your payslip. How do you obtain a tax resident certificate? Like you can contact your local tax office and like you can get it done. Yeah. Next question: as a married couple, does both of us have to file tax return, or only one of them does for both? So for married couple, like there are multiple things. So like say for example, you got married in 2024. So since it's a year of marriage or the year of divorce, so it's like you can choose to file separately. But in general, couple are supposed to file a joint declaration where like you can like even if you take the offline declaration, there'll be at least 2-3 columns. So declarant 1, declarant 2, and declarant 3. So like you can like declarant 1, one spouse can add, and the second column declarant 2, you can add your the wife's or husband's accounts, the income. And like for the online, again, like it will be asking like all the details. You just like it's very intuitive. You just answer the questions, it will be done. So for a married couple, like it is a joint declaration. So anyone can do it on like, because you just need to log in from one of the spouse's accounts and do it for both. So moving on to the next question: for family transfer, supporting siblings in their education when parents can't support them, does it count for deduction for family with university fees, etc.? Unfortunately, the pension alimentary is applicable only for your like say for example your ascendants, your parents, grandparents, your like your father-in-law, mother-in-law, grandfather-in-law, grandmother-in-law. So only the ascendants are applicable. So if you have supported your siblings or cousins, so unfortunately it's not applicable. So it doesn't count. I'm working for the last 3 years, but in my revenue column in declaration automatic file, it is showing I didn't earn anything. It has been the case for 2022, 2023, and 2024. Even my company name is not mentioned in these years in revenue section. Please help me on this. See, like the automatic thing, it is just to make your declaration easier. But it is your responsibility to check what all the information in the declaration and submit it. You can't blame the tax department like if something is missing. So it's your responsibility. Like they have just made it like easier to like to get the information automatically. But end of the day, we are declaring our own declarations and we are responsible for whatever we declare. So please verify everything and only then you have to submit it.
I think we are beyond our time.
Yeah.
I think, as just a courtesy, I think there's hundreds of other questions. It is quite practically difficult for us. We will try to see our efforts to answer your questions. I'm sorry we are unable to take any specific questions. To the max, we'll probably spend another 3 minutes to address any other questions.
Meanwhile, please answer the polls regarding the feedbacks. Only 25% of of you have actually provided the feedback. Please feel free to go to the poll section and provide your feedback on all the 5 questions. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, this is something like a new question. Like instead of sending the documents manually to the tax office, after going to the post office and all, can I send the digital version to the law post so that they can print it and send to the tax department? No, like it's not a privacy issue. It is just you please download that forms, fill it manually, and then and send it by registered post. Please like this option works. Say for example, you're resigning from your job or you're sending a notice or something. It's just 1 or 2 pages, so you can do that. But in this case, don't create a situation where you're also contributing to the error. So it's like please do it properly and download the forms, fill them, and send it by registered post by visiting the post office. Does CAF considered income? So all the social benefits, it again depends. By default, they'll be automatically entered in your. If you're doing it online, it will be automatically entered. If not, you have to declare them. Because even this is again it depends. Some things are taxable, some things are not taxable. And CAF is an organization. It gives multiple benefits. So most of things are not taxable, and some things are taxable. And again, depends on situation. Next question. Investing in mutual funds through Kuvera doesn't require any security account. How to declare those mutual fund investments? See, even if you're investing through Kuvera, or you grow, or directly via the AMC, you're there'll be a mutual fund folio number created thing. So it's if you're investing directly with Kuvera, unfortunately, you need to declare each and every folio. If you're declaring via Zerodha using a demat account, you can just declare the demat account because whatever you do will be related to the demat account. But if you're doing individual mutual funds, unfortunately you have to declare each and every folio. So and again, it is not a wise decision to have so many mutual funds. So even this might make you think about whether having so many mutual funds makes sense or not. In my case, I just have two, three. Yeah, I had 4. I registered 2 now. Hello, I had an education loan in India, which I paid and took a personal loan here for 3K in 2022. I did not declare it in my tax that year. Anyway, I can declare and have benefits. Unfortunately, this option is not available in France. So for personal loans, you can't claim any tax benefit. Is the stipend my wife getting for her studies considered taxable? If so, should we declare this as income? If I assume that this is a mandatory internship required to complete a degree, or she's an alternate or apprentice, again up to 21K, it's income is exempt, and the amount that is remaining after this exempt amount, that needs to be added to your total taxable income of both husband and wife. In any context for professional tax advisor in France and the charges, unfortunate since I'm a DIY guy, I haven't taken any professional help, and but if you for charges, it's usually around 50 100 euros, and again depends on the case. If it's just a basic declaration of salaried income, 50 60 euros or 70 euros, but if there is complications income from India and all these things, then it may cost you 100 euros, 120 euros, or even 200 euros, and in some cases even 1,000 euros, depending on the tax advisor. Can we have more details on how to avoid double taxation? Which part row to file in income tax declaration? See, DTA is a very big topic. That is capital gains, dividends, interest income, rental income, business income, so many things. So it's we can't give a single specific line. If you go to my YouTube channel, you already have a detailed step-by-step guide to declare interest income for NRE, NR accounts, FCNR, and then EPF, NPS, PPF, and then like FDs and all these things. You can do that. But like for any rental income on something, then like there is like a revenue. It's known as revenue foncier in France. Like it is much more complicated. And in that case, I would say like please take a professional help. Like just one quick point to add, unfortunately most of the financial advisors in France or tax consultants, they may not be aware about the taxation in India. So please make sure that like you find a person who is good in like both Indian and French taxes. Like unfortunately I haven't found one like which I can recommend. I know a few people, but I don't have the confidence to recommend because I have seen a few things. So like please, because you're paying, it's not free advice, you're paying for the advice. Please ensure that they are properly registered in France and they have the accreditations and they have the knowledge to guide you. Yeah. Thank you, Ravi.
So thank you very much, Prashant and team. I think it was probably we tried our level best within the available time to help you guys as much as possible. We have heard your questions and quite a lot of questions. We will try to see if we can formalize those questions and then also have the the video made available. Of course, if you have a specific question which is not addressed, you may send it to us. But as you need to know that we are not a professional, we might not have answer to all of your questions.
Ravi, I can add here on this thing. So we will upload this video in the ICT's YouTube page in a couple of days, and you can post your unanswered questions as a comment to the YouTube video. And the moderators, Prashant and other volunteers will be writing the answers over there. So it is easier for us to manage over there than writing emails every now and then.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Thanks, Karthik. I think
and also the slides that we have shared today, we will be posting it in the indiancommunitytoulouse.org website, so the ICT website. So maybe in a day or two, it will be available there. Please feel free to go there and
put your comments, leave your comments in the YouTube, and then we'll try to answer so that it remains as a reference for another person who has a similar question.
Yeah. And just a small comment, we'll try to answer as many questions as possible on YouTube, but still like there are some questions, even though we know the answer, we still can't advise it because there are some regulations in France like giving guideline about what can be given as a professional advice and not, and because there are legal obligations. So it's like we'll try to help as much as possible, but like in some cases we may not be able to like reply because that is a job of a professional. In that case, like please consult a professional. Yeah. Like if any such question, I like we'll be mentioning like in the comment, like please consult a professional.
Yeah. Okay, so yes,
some of you have raised your questions. If it is questions, please leave it in the YouTube. But if you have one or two of you, if you have any feedback to provide to the Prashant or the volunteers, feel free to open your mic and please provide your feedback. But if there are some questions, please put it in the YouTube channel, please.
YouTube handle name, I think it will be shared.
You just type Indian Community Toulouse in YouTube, you will find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe I can speak.
Be available in the in the slide which will be shared. So you just need to type Indian Community Toulouse. That will help you.
Yeah, and like Karthik, I think someone wanted to speak.
No, just I want to thank you, Prashant and Ravi. Maybe Ravi and others, maybe it's new for me, but Prashant is a very familiar face for me. Thank you, guys. Really, it's your wonderful time is appreciated. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for today. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, it was a nice session, guys. I have some more questions. I will post it on YouTube. Thanks a lot.
Very much. Thank you.
Okay, only Prashant, can you share that only for the tax consultant because we don't want to file the wrong one. Okay.
See, like I wanted to put it in a polite way, to be honest, like even if I want to someone